So here you have your new Zonare machine, ultrasound machine. All I've done is I've plugged it into the wall, and it does carry a charge, so if you have to take it to a bedside and you don't have an outlet readily available, you can use it, but in my experience, it's a good idea to plug it in whenever you can so you don't lose your image in the middle of your exam. First thing you're going to do after you plug it in is turn the on button, which is right here on the lower portion of the machine. Just press it and it'll turn green, and then you'll know that it's on. Once it's on, you'll see the image that says Zonare. It does take a few seconds to power up, so we'll just give it a second here. And when it powers up, it's going to default to whatever probe set you have as a default, but you can see that all three probes are connected, so you don't have to take them out and switch them. You can switch them with the keyboard or with the controls on the keyboard. Alright, so within a few seconds you'll get your initial image, and in this case the default is our L10 probe. This is the vascular probe, okay, or linear probe. The edge is flat and it has a shallow depth. So you're going to basically be doing vascular access here, foreign bodies, that kind of thing, but mostly vascular access for our purposes. And this is the one that we use for central line placement. Now, if you want to change the probe, there's two ways of doing it. You can either hit transducer, okay, and when you hit transducer, this display will change, and you'll be able to cycle through or select which probe you want. The L10 is our linear probe. The P4 is the phased array probe. Okay, and this is good for cardiac exams. You can also use it for abdominal exams. It's a pretty good multi-purpose probe. And then the C6, or the curvilinear probe. Okay, this is the one that we use mainly for abdominal exams. And the main difference between these two probes for exams like this is that you get a little bit better depth and penetration, particularly in your obese patients with the curvilinear than you do with the phased array. All right, so you can press either one. So let's say you want to switch to the curvilinear probe. You just depress this button, and it'll say initializing transducer, and now you have the curvilinear probe. Let's say now you want to switch probes again, hit transducer again, and switch to the P4 or the phased array probe. Okay, and now you have your phased array probe. Okay. The other way of changing it is you can use the dials here, and you notice that once it switches, this display changes. You can use the knob, so you can actually roll through the different probes. So C6, P4, and L10. And you can just kind of scroll up and down, and once you're on the one you want, you just depress the button. It won't select it right away because you have two other settings that you have to adjust. One is exam type, so you can switch it to cards, hit that, and the last is pediatric or general. Those are the only ones. You may not have these settings, but you're going to do general, and now you have it set with cards. Now up here on your display, it'll tell you that you're on the cards, exam type, and general setting. And then this tells you your probe type. So this is a phased array. It's a P4 probe. So if we change it, let's say we want to change it. Again, you can go to transducer. You can switch to, let's say, the L10. Okay. It'll say initializing, it'll change this, and then it'll say vascular general. That's the default L10. So you know you've switched. All right, now the other thing you have to do is decide the exam type. So let's go back the old way. We'll hit transducer. We're going to go to the phased array, and it defaults to cards general. But you can change the exam type in, again, two different ways. One, we kind of showed you. Let's say I want now to do an abdominal exam, so I'll roll it to abdomen and hit select, and then here I'll roll it down to general. General is probably the only thing you're going to use on this last setting. And now you look up here, and where it said before card gen, it now says abdomen gen. All right, so now your settings are more useful for an abdominal exam. The other way you can change the exam type is just hitting the exam type button. Like we did the transducer button, you can also change exam type button, hit exam type, and on the side here, you'll have a menu that'll pop up, and you can roll through here and select by hitting the set button your different exams. Also, you can program your machine to have hotkeys so that you can quickly select exam types through here. So let's say I wanted to do, I was on abdominal general and now I wanted to switch to cardiac general. I can just hit that button and it'll switch it for me up here. All right, so really 3 ways of changing the exam type. One is scrolling through it, and the 2 ways. One is scrolling through it, and one is just hitting a hotkey that's been pre-programmed. All right, and the 3rd way actually is using the scroll button. When you do an exam, so right now we're on cardiac. Let's say, you're doing an exam, and I'm just gonna pretend here. Let's see. So, you're doing an exam. If you need to increase the visibility by increasing what we call the gain, you're going to press the B button. Okay, not press the B button, but you're going to use the B button and you're going to roll it to the right. Okay, that's going to make everything brighter. Okay, if you look at the screen, I'm going to roll it down the other way and you can see it becomes darker. Okay, so that's your scroll for B. Now the other thing you can do is you can do M mode, and M mode is particularly useful when you're doing cardiac exams, and I'll show you what it does, and it can also do vascular exams. So let's say you want to change the exam type and the probe to the L10 probe. Okay, the default is going to come up vascular general. You take your probe and you're doing your exam, and you turn up the gain so you can see a little bit better what you're looking at. And when you have movement, either you're looking for pulsations or you're looking, and when you're doing your cardiac echo, you're looking for changes in the mitral valve excursion or the changes in your cardiac activity. If you hit M mode, you'll get a split screen, and you'll see a line going through the image, and you can move that line using the roller ball. And down here, you'll get an M mode screen. Now you can turn up the gains individually, so you can increase the gain by rolling again the scroll on the M button. And this is kind of what you might see. I'm just kind of pretending, but this is what you might see when you're looking at IVC compression or collapse. Okay, so if you imagine that's your IVC and the patient takes a deep breath, it collapses and then opens up again. You might see something like that. When you have a satisfactory image, you're going to hit freeze. All right, and then you have your leisure to measure the IVC diameter, for example, by hitting the ruler button, measure, and that brings up a mini menu up here that says distance or heartbeat. We're going to go with distance, so when you're on that, again, you can scroll up and down using the roller ball and select using set, and then when you hit select, you get this type of a cursor. So you can look at your differences here by moving that horizontal dash tag, and you can put it on the vessel there, hit set, and you'll get a second hashtag which will be a different color. So the original one turns blue and it gets set, and then you can move the green one down to wherever you want and hit enter. Okay, not set, but hit enter, and it'll give you your distance here. Alright, so 5 millimeters.
That's what I mean.
Then you want to do it again. Let's say, for example, let's say pretending you're doing your IVC measurement and you wanted to see another measurement, and you wanted to compare. You could hit calculate. You can hit measure again. Select for set for distance, and now you do again set and return. So now you can see there's distance 1 and distance 2, and you have your two distances recorded here. And once you have all the information you want, you can of course hit print.
Yeah. Oh, I was prepping the day before or 2 days before. Yeah.
And it should print out. If there's paper in the printer, it'll print out this entire screen with all your data on it.
For a tester, so that they can start tomorrow.
Right there. All right, and then once you're done, you can unfreeze and then hit. You can turn off M mode again, and you get your full view exam. So you can do that also with the cardiac probe, and you know, similarly, if you're trying to measure something, if you're trying to measure something simply in the B mode, not the M mode, then let's say you're doing this, you turn up your gain to get a good picture, you're satisfied with your picture, hit freeze, and then you have your image here. Then if you hit measure, it'll just give you a single cursor, not like a line with a little dash on it. It'll give you a single cursor, and then you're kind of free to measure whatever you want. Again, hit set to set the first cursor, turns blue, and then once you have your, you know, whatever you want to measure, you hit enter, and again it'll give you your distance down here, and again you can print it. So that's basically, you know, how to navigate the, you know, the basic utilities of the ultrasound machine. Again, you don't have to ever disconnect the probes. You can just switch through them using the interface here. And once you're done with your exams, you want to turn off the machine. You're just going to hit and hold the power button. And when you release the button, it'll say save complete, thank you, and it'll turn off. Once it's powered down, you can unplug it from the wall and then put it to store, or you can leave it in, plugged in, to allow it to continue to charge. All right. Once you're done with the probes, the way we want to clean them is using the sanitizer wipes. So I think it'd be helpful to have one of these on the cart. And then you can just kind of take the wipe down the entire handle and probe, like so, and then let it air dry. And once it's dry, it should be ready to go again with your next patient. That's it.